So as you guys know, we're matchmakers and we match Western men primarily with Ukrainian women. Now there are cultural differences, and when these two things collide, there can be problems. And in this video today, we want to talk about 5 or 6 things. How many is there? 5 or 6 things that Ukrainian women kind of freak out about.
It's something
a little
new
bit.
for them. Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't understand it, and we have to explain it. The same way we have to explain on the other side for the guys as well when they see something that they think is just a bit out
So
there.
about a year ago, I started coaching ladies, and that's why, I know firsthand about what are the things that they're scared about, freak out about something, or they completely don't know about, and so I need to bring that new mentality difference to them. So first, it is debt and mortgages. This is one of the hottest topic that I have with the ladies when they talk and when they write their profile. They say, "I want him to own his house. I want," and it doesn't mean like in Ukraine, it's more obvious because if people do have it, if they have an apartment, it is there or they rent it. So there is no mortgage. It's very
They own it
unlikely.
outright
They
or they
either
rent.
so either they own it or they rent. And the reason for that, you might think, oh, it's different. The reason for that is because, for example, here in Spain, I don't know what is the interest rate now in the United States, but in Spain, the interest rate is about 1.9 to 2.5 percentage interest, right? That is extremely low, as for me as Ukrainian, because in Ukraine, it's minimum 18%. So people, it just doesn't make any sense to get apartment from in mortgage. And usually how people in Ukraine, they do have apartment or they rent, they do have it because usually it's a grandmother died, she left an apartment, then you sold the apartment, you bought another one, you renovated and you leave. So that is I don't know, this is a huge difference because the ladies were thinking that if the guy doesn't own his house, it means he's broke. But it doesn't mean that at all, because I try to explain that it doesn't make sense to spend even if he has this money in his bank account, it doesn't make sense to spend them all in a house. It's better this money working or investing, or he invest in his business rather than pay up front.
I think also there's many different factors that play into that. Also, how much do houses actually cost in relationship to how much the person owns? And if somebody lives in Ukraine and they're working for a US company, it wouldn't be hard to buy a $60,000 brand new apartment, right? So there's many things that play into that. I think it's just they don't understand, what it takes to actually buy an apartment in another country, because you still have to have a deposit, and the deposit for the house may be $150,000.
Yeah.
So, and in Ukraine you can buy 3 apartments
Yeah.
for that. So they don't understand that. Credit card debt as well. Some
Yeah.
people purposely take on credit card debt because they get points for it. At the end of the month, they pay it off, and it's they get benefits for doing that. In Ukraine, I don't know, do you guys have
In
credit
Ukraine,
cards?
they do it only if the person is really, really needs money and there's an interest. And if you forget to put money, there's an interest coming on this card. And the only reason people would use the credit card because they need money. That is just the mentality. Sometimes my dad, he say, oh, can you send me like this because I need to close the month faster than he get paid. And so that is why they use it. And when I moved to Spain, I thought, okay, I heard that the guys in the West, they get these points. Even some of our clients, they can pay the cash, but they said not cash, the transfer, but they say I would rather do it because I get the business class. And I thought, okay, I also gonna do it in Spain. In Spain, they don't have it. Nothing credit card is just a credit card, and that is the difference. So I need to explain it to the girls that it doesn't mean the same.
Yeah, and also when it comes to debt, I couldn't even imagine somebody in Ukraine going, let's go and get debt to buy apartments to rent those as an investment. Whereas in the West, it's like you buy a house, renovate it,
Yeah.
you can draw the money out, you can buy another one, and another one, and another one.
Yeah.
This is a strategy for a business. In Ukraine, there's not that much forward thinking into thinking about.
No, because of the interest rate, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Okay, the second one and the major one is about city living versus rural. Because a lot of guys living in a countryside outside of the city, and they enjoy that. And I, as a Ukrainian, also would say the same, that, once I was living in Odessa, for me, it was I'm a very city girl, and living somewhere outside of the city was not even possibly, in my mind. And now I live in a village in Spain, and I would prefer it rather than any city because it's cleaner, it's quieter, it's safer, it's it has its own vibe. But girls are very conservative about that. So when the guys say, I have these acres, 5 acres, 10 acres, the girl's she doesn't see that as cool as the guy. And I have to explain that, it's only 15 or 30 minutes drive to the city, when for Ukrainians it's she needs to live right in the middle of LA.
Yeah. when it comes to rural living, and this is in most of the Western developed world, when you get to a certain point in your life, you want things to slow down.
Yeah.
Some people do, not everyone, obviously. You want it to slow down, and you want to sell up your house in the city and go live out in the country, and get some cows and some chickens and live out there and live off the land. Like, this is like a level up. But in Ukraine, the way that they grew up, they already had that stuff as a kid. They had to milk the cow, they had to get the water out of the well, they had to find the chicken's eggs in the hay, and so they want to get out of that. So it doesn't make any sense to think to themselves, I need to get back into that situation where I have to go and
But it's still very different. The village in Spain is very different than the village in Ukraine. And because Ukrainians are pretty conservative, they imagine only the living with the pigs is like, or the horses or whatever. It's like that bad experience from the childhood, when there is no equipment, when there's like everything is old, where everything is rusty, you get it from your grandfather who is like using it from his grandfather, coming to the next point, right? Like it's a different experience. And most of the ladies that are relocating there, they enjoy it because all they need is a driving license. And that is, I like tell them firsthand, like you said, you need to learn English and you need to have a driving license. No matter where you are, like you will be fine with it.
Yeah.
And talking about, equipment from grandfather and grandfather, what it is next? Guys, just quickly, we are going to Austin, Texas in April 2026. Me and Striker will be there for our annual rendezvous, and we invite you to join. We have 6 spots left, and the link and description and the tickets is in description below.
This was just this is something that we tried to put together, kind of. We sort of made some connections, okay? So it's kind of well known that Slavic women, whether they're Russian or Ukrainian, whatever, they like these expensive jackets or handbags or shoes, right? But Western guys, we don't really maybe even Western people, we don't really get that. We're like, why do you need to spend $5,000 on a handbag when you can get a perfectly good one online for $100 or down at, whatever local Payless Bags or whatever it's called? Why is that? And so my theory on this is that we're in the West, we're a nation of consumers, this consumerism, right? And a lot of that came from I guess the chemical revolution, the plastic revolution that happened mainly in the 70s and the 80s. Like if we think back to when we were kids, there was a lot of plastic toys, right? No longer metal toys. Everything turned into plastic toys. Like I remember the old Kinder Surprises. They had metal toys in them when I was a little kid. And then all of a sudden there were these cheap plastic things that you just throw them in the bin. The same with clothing. Clothing was available and it came from China. It was available in the Walmarts or the Kmarts or whatever. They didn't have that, right? They were in the Soviet Union, which was closed off. They couldn't get all of this type of consumerism type products. And so for them, if they were to buy something, they can't just replace it really easily. So, and like us, like, you buy a pen, it doesn't work, I'll just throw it away. They need a pen that's like, oh my God, my pen doesn't work.
They were putting, like my grandmother, my mom still bought, like in Ukraine, she was still, I said, Mom, there's thousands of pens, but she still will go and put.
Yeah, and I think that's because they jumped that whole consumerism part of history. When everything was available so cheap and so easy, and it was just, let's just throw it away. Everything had to be made out of metal, wood,
glass,
steel, iron, glass.
I remember at my home, I opened up, there was a basement that we never used. And then parents at home decided to make a shelter out of this basement at the moment. And so when we entered, it was right when the war started. So when we opened the shelter, there was thousands of glass cans. And jars, and that my mom was always borscht, they don't bring it in tupper, you always use
It's always a glass.
It's always a glass. And it's always the reusable. And it's there was nothing else. Tupper was not there. It was not even nobody even think about that. People were putting the sandwich, they were putting in a newspaper. So there was not a tin foil, or I just remember about my grandmother going to work, or when I was going to school, I remember my dad was bringing from Poland, because he was working in Poland, he was bringing the tin foil, the paper, baking paper, and mom was doing the sandwich, because there was not, even the plastic, the culture of the plastic bags. Maybe you've seen some videos, all Ukrainian girls, they always have a bag with the plastic bags. And I remember first time in 2011 or 12, I went to US, and I went to Walmart, and they give I think now it's different, but there's a little thing turning around, and there's a plastic bags, and so they put every item in a different bag. Not like here, you stuff it. It's like another one, another, and I was like, oh, it's like 20 bags, and I collected them. And so because like recycling was not in Ukraine like until recently, honestly, I remember I brought it back to Ukraine and I left them in my suitcase, and it just dissolved, or I put it somewhere, it just dissolved. I thought that I have a rat at home, but it's not common. Like you're right. People are using stuff for a long time, but now it's a little bit.
I think it's going to change. I think the generation that maybe the women in their 30s or whatever now, they grew up with, maybe in their 40s, they grew up with their parents saying like, don't waste stuff.
Yeah, but the kids, like I see that, like Max is like, he doesn't care.
I think now it's a little bit different. But anyway, so that's where I don't know, for some reason we put that in there, but that's why I think that maybe there's a tendency to buy more expensive things. I don't know. What do you guys think? Or am I just like...
No, I think that you're very right. I think that it is like something. Sometimes the girls are surprised that the guys are buying like a lot of cheap stuff. Not that they're expecting, but they just like you buy. People stop fixing stuff, right? People don't. Before you can't like buy a new washing machine. You have to figure it out like how to fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a big difference. It's a big difference.
Okay.
But you're right. Like it's changing now. I don't know if it is a good thing or no, but
I think it's a very bad thing.
It's a very bad, like, because people just buying and throwing stuff away. Okay, humor.
Oh, we've talked about this many times before, haven't we? Yeah, it's very difficult for... I don't know, it's not everyone though. Like we always say this, but I never really had any that bad of problems. I mean, you think I'm extremely funny all of the time, and so I don't really have this. But I do get, I think maybe some humor...
Why you do say that? Because I just...
Because you always laugh at my jokes.
You know, I have to be honest.
Yeah?
No, I like your jokes. No, it's like the guys especially from US, please don't get offended, but it's a different humor. Like they kind of like, it's a little bit, you say situational jokes, and that is really funny.
Very funny.
Like the other day, it was like really hilarious about the meat. You can say the joke about the guy having a dinner for their university. Like the meat, we were outside in the city and the guy didn't bring the meat, the delivery, and then I asked if he already brought it the next day, and he said he only brought the leftovers because he ate it the other day.
Oh yeah, that would be funny.
With his wife for anniversary. That is funny, but guys more...
It's not my best week.
But like what guys are usually making fun of, it's themselves, and they do the self-deprecation, and it is very, very, very unattractive. But I want to say that, for example, one of our couples now, they met, and I know that this guy is always saying fun stuff, and sometimes he say it too fast. It's like very difficult to catch if you're not like native speaker. But he reached out to me and he said, it's so awesome. We already have our own jokes, and this is the best. So this is the turn. Like at the beginning, the lady may look at you and think like, what was the joke about? And the bad thing about the joke is if you have to explain the joke, right? Like then it's not funny. It's horrible. And so that's why we always tell our clients to be a little bit cautious with your humor. And also, do not ever self-deprecate yourself and like, I'm so goofy, I'm so clumsy, I'm so this. Never do that. But later on, when you have your inner jokes, that is the best. Like this is like a little glues.
Yes, so that's that one. And the next one...
It's painful, but it's true. It's a gift. Okay, small talks.
Small talk. Yeah, I don't know. You told me to put that on there, and what is it?
Yeah, it's like, I think it's changing now, but... What I realized here in Spain, like in Ukraine, you always, when you go to some, especially bureaucracy, like, you need to get some document, like, it's difficult. When I was entering usually these organizations, I needed to put like a warrior mode. I need to come there with as an angry face as I can to get my document as fast as I can and get out of there. Because sometimes you just get scared, like it's shocking. You're scared. Like you're scared to go to this organization. And maybe 2 years ago, I needed my dad to help me with birth certificate for Max, because I needed like for documents and I needed to be in Ukraine apostille. So you can ask for the copy, for the like original copy. Guys, I can't explain. I was scared to call. I would rather speak to someone in Spanish that I don't speak well, but I was scared to call because I knew that she will talk to me super sharp and she will hang up and she will like horrible. And it's exactly what happened. But in Spain, I realized that as much as you smile, as much as you talk to them, ask first about grandmother, granddad, about their family, you will get whatever you want. I remember I was getting like one card in a shop and like we start talking about, I don't know what we were talking about, but she ended up giving me some gifts, some extra bonus, some extra card. In Ukraine, it would just never happen. And so you guys, and what striker, like what I what I noticed in him, he always like talk to people. Maybe it's problem, maybe not, but he always talked to people that like at the beginning I thought, why does he need to talk to everyone? Why does he need to like start conversations?
Annoy everyone.
Annoy, like I didn't want to use this word, like annoy. But because in Ukraine it's not common. If you stay in line at the airport, you stay with a poker face and you don't smile to anyone. You just listen to your music. When striker is like hey, like all the line, and like end up that I have to drive the woman that he was talking to, But then I found it like very cool. It's very friendly. It's very nice. It's very attractive. It's like you become more like, it's like your personality become bigger when you talk to more people. And in Ukraine, it's not common. So when the guys are coming to visit the lady and he's nice to the waitress or he's having a small talk at the reception, the girls are like, that's strange, that's weird, but it's also changing because now they live in Europe and it's a little bit different. But
I mean, maybe they like it more. I mean, that whole thing with Ukraine, that was one thing I didn't like about Ukraine, is it was very difficult to kind of like connect with random people. It was impossible to do, whether it was at the shop or whatever. It was just, I remember we went to the bank once. I think I'd only been there for a little bit of time, and I think you were helping me with something or whatever, and you asked for something, and the woman was just like some babushka was there, and she was just like, no. And you were like telling her like, well, can you fix it or something? And she said, no. And what? And what? And you were saying to her, but you work here, it's your job. And she said, if you don't like it, leave. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
If you don't like it, get lost. And
it wasn't a cashier, like, and I was like, yeah, I remember.
And you told me the whole interaction afterwards. I didn't understand the whole thing, and I was like, what? How can somebody working at a bank tell you to get lost if you don't like it, that she can't do her job?
I remember it was right before the war started. It was something that it was a new trick. So on the West, the customer support is quite big, right? So when you call someone, it's always say this phone call will be recorded for the customer check, whatever. In Ukraine, nobody care. And this is the problem. I think that sometimes the business owner can invest a lot of money in business, and because he has bad or unfriendly workers, people will not use his service. And I remember, like here in Spain, if you go to the shop and if they see that there is a little bit bigger line than it should be, he will immediately reach out, like on the cashier, and will say, hey, anyone, quickly come to the cashier. And when I saw that first time, I was like really surprised. I never saw that back in Ukraine. It can be that we have 5 lines. I'm not cheating on Ukraine. I'm just telling how it is. And we used to live in that. But I see the difference. I see that, the Western culture in this matter is a little bit better, I think. So in Ukraine, it would be 5 places for the cashier, but it would be only 1.
Yeah.
And the line would be as big as possible. And because they always like backing up each other, you can say, can you please call someone else because there's like 20 people waiting? And she'll say, nah. And right before the war, the hotline, I don't know, is it the right word? Like the hotline, the customer service they start implementing that. And I remember we have a shop called Eva. So it's, I don't know, it's like Walgreen. It's like Walgreen in US. And so they usually, like girls come to buy lipstick, buy like whatever. So it's always a lot of people. And I remember one time somebody told me, you should say that I'm going to call the hotline. As soon as I said this magical word, immediately there was a second person. So in Ukraine, it was just not common. But the culture of the small talk, I think that it's very good that Western guys are bringing that to the girls. They may not get it from the beginning, but they would definitely understand it and appreciate it. Because I think Ukrainians are always thinking that everything is dangerous. They always think that something new is dangerous. They don't think that, I need to try.
Something different.
It's different, it's dangerous. It's not different, it's dangerous. So, but I think that this is I like it. I really do like it.
Yeah, and I think that most people do enjoy connecting with other human beings, like through some funny interaction or some, sharing some stories or some experience. But because people don't do it, you're right. It's strange. So why is somebody telling me about? So why is somebody asking me, about this? Why is somebody asking me where I'm from? But it doesn't mean that they don't want to do it. It's just that nobody does it. So when someone does it, it's weird.
Yeah. So this is just something to know about why the lady may react like that. It's not because she is rude. It's just like our culture is a little bit cold. It's more about this coconut and peach. This theory that the Slavic ladies are very coconutty, like they very hard to get inside. But once you get inside, you feel much better. And when it is opposite, then when there's like the peaches, like it's easy, like Americans, easy to start. Hey, how are you? But then it's harder inside. And the last one.
And so the last one is cutesy gifts. We have a very difference in culture when it comes to giving gifts. And I guess I'm talking here about what men give to women, right? Because women give to men. I mean, we were just talking before about how we heard a story of a client who received some seashells from the beach. And for him, he's like, shit, yeah, like she found this and she thought about me and she gave that. Giving her a handful of seashells is not going to go down that. I mean, I guess there's a time and a place, and you can fit it in.
No, but it's like if there is like a nice gift and the shells, then yeah.
Yeah,
Or if the nice gift is like inside the shells.
Yeah, well, I guess my point is that we as men, we don't really care about gifts. We just care that she thought about something to give to us. It could be a blade of grass.
We spoke with this with Striker. We spoke about that, and I like my mentality completely changed. Like we may do the live stream about that because it's a long topic, but I would say that I'm guilty for that as well. So Ukrainian mentality, unfortunately, believes that the most
Let it out.
Нет.
Let it out.
Нет, not everything. But it's like for some reason we think that the price for the gift is the validation. That
No, that's wrong. It's not the price. It's the top of that gift's range.
no. But it's like the price or the
No, it's the availability. It's like, so if you gave her a small perfume, and she went, well, he doesn't love me enough because there's a bigger version. And then if he got that version and there was actually another bigger version, so I was saying to Luba that how she perceives how much he respects her or likes her or whatever, wants to be with her, is determined by whoever made that product and how big they made it. How big was that champagne bottle that's available to him? And did he buy it or not? The iPhone, the biggest
that's true.
RAM.
But also like this is, I already spoke about this on Rocket Club, that yes, Ukrainian lady think that, and I try to change it, guys. I promise you that I do this all the time. That I try to show that attention is like the guy actually went out and found something, or the guy bought something. For you, it's already attention, and it's just like people have different tastes, people have different like style or money availability as well, and so he bought whatever he thought that it is appropriate, and the lady should not judge the attitude the guy to her with the price or size or quality of the gift. But it's difficult to change. But this one is not so much about this. This is about this cutest gift. It's about, like, for example, when the guy is giving a toy. So like this is something that, yeah, it can be cute if there is in a context, or it's again like extra to something, but it cannot be gift itself. For example, like for 14th of February, Valentine's Day. So it's on the West, as I understand, it's like chocolate and a teddy bear. In Ukraine, not so much. It is even funny because, like, in my mind, if you remember where I used to live in Ukraine, there was a corner and there was a lot of flowers. Not me, where my mom was living. There was a corner with a lot of flower shops. Okay. And before the Valentine's Day, there was always there was a bench, and they was putting like the teddy bear bigger than you. Like it's like a huge teddy bear, so the love only for the girl, like if the guy buy her a small one, he liked her that much. But if you buy her this one that she doesn't even know where to put in her apartment because it's Ukraine, that is the validation of love. And that is very uncomfortable mentality.
Yeah, you're right when you say it's like validation. It's not.
But for the girls, it is. And so when the guys are doing that, I mean, you just need to know that. And that's why I always recommend that, yes, the girl is more excited for Pandora or Swarovski like bracelet rather than one that, no name. And the price can be the same. Or maybe the no name would be like real pearls, and it would be more expensive. But it wasn't in a nice box. It wasn't I think that if you love your woman, you would just accept that fact, and you will do.
What I was going to say here is cutesy gifts, which is like sending her like a little teddy bear, because the way that they interpret a teddy bear, like you would give a teddy bear to a child.
Yeah.
And so when you give her a gift, you're basically saying to her, I think of you as like a kind of like a child.
But it's more like not for this whole, like if the guy is bringing the toy, you know, as a gift and nothing else. And he say, here's the gift. And the lady is like 40 years old. And
Well, I mean, I think it's just the fact that it's like in your culture, you give toys to children.
Yes.
You don't give toys to adults.
give
I think
choice.
that's what it is. But in the West, we have this culture of like a teddy bear is like something. But if you think about it, it's so stupid. Why in the West, whoever came up with this idea, Valentine's Day or something romantic is a kid's toy? It doesn't even make any sense. I'm with you guys on this one. I do think it is stupid.
with us?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you on that one. That is stupid. It is ridiculous. Anyway, so those are just some things. I forget what the title of this video is called, but those are just some things, some differences.
Good to know them. See you in the next one.
See ya.